Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me and thank you so much for choosing your time to spend with me and watch this video. Today we will make notebook cover or notepad cover. For that we will use very few materials. We will need only one cardstock, 12 by 12, and you really will need only one decorative paper, 12 by 12. I chose to use two papers just so I can create little contrast. So it's totally up to you what you want to do, but this is how I choose to make my project. So we will start with scoring the cardstock. So the cardstock, we're gonna score at 5 inches, 5.5, and the last score, but really light one, it's gonna be at 10.5. We're gonna turn this sideways and we're gonna score at 6.25. So now wherever we have the last score, which is at 10.5 inches, we will cut that piece off. Now we will fold all our scores just like that. And what we're gonna do, I will mark my scores. First, I'm gonna fold it. So I will mark this paper just so you know what dimensions are where. So this dimension is 6.25. And this dimension is 5.75, and that's the height. Okay, so the 6.25 is on the back. We're gonna fold that 5.75. So the 5.75 length is facing you. When you open it, this is the 5.75, and maybe I do it this way. The 5.75 is gonna be up. What we're gonna do, we're gonna look for those scores right here. And because it's difficult to see on a black paper, I am just gonna mark them just so you can see what we will do. Okay. So now I'm positioning the score towards the inside. So the score has to be on the inside. We don't want to cut that out. And I'm going to position the cutting knife right here, not all the way to this score, but close enough. We don't want to cut past the score. So you see, when I made the cut, the score is right here on this side. And I did not cut all the way to this score. See, I can just fully fold it. I don't want to rip it. There's a little bit attached right here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to push the paper a little bit. I want now the score to be on the opposite side of the knife. So I'm paying attention to the top, but I'm also paying attention to the bottom. I want to make sure that the score now is on the opposite side of the knife. I will position the knife and I will cut it. So what we cut off is this little piece. Now we're going to push the paper and we're going to do the same thing with the other score. So we position this score on the inside of the knife and I will start cutting. And you see, this is what I end up with. The score is on this side right here. So now I'm going to push the paper again a little bit, because now we want to cut on the opposite side of the score. So I position my knife and I cut it. And you see, this is the other piece that we are cutting out. So what you're going to end up with, it's actually cutouts of about 1/8 of an inch. So now we're going to extend that cut, but only to the score on both sides. So you see that little piece, I do want to cut out, just like that. I will do the same thing to the other piece, just like this, and we're going to cut out that little strip. So this is what we ended up with. Now I'm going to turn this to opposite side, because this will be the back and this will right now be front to us, but in reality this will be the inside of our notepad cover. So if we fold this, this is the outside, this is the inside. So what we're gonna do, we will apply a little bit of glue only on both sides in here, just like that. We will fold it and make sure when you're folding, your outside edges are straight. So let's make sure this is stuck. And this is actually the packet for our notepad. Now the middle piece, we will work with this one at the end. Now this piece, I do want to make another packet just like this one, but I am going to mark the middle of this piece. So this is 5 inches middle, it's going to be 2.5 right here. So I mark this because I will make a little cut. It really doesn't have to be deep, just like that. And we will also glue this piece. Now, you may say, why I'm going through all of this, where I could have just folded in half, glue it, and be done with that. Well, you would be right. I could have done that. But if you do this, you will never end up with straight sides. Your paper will twist one way or the other, or it will buckle. And you don't want that. This is the reason why I cut out those two little strips on the side. This provides a little bit more movement to your paper to readjust. So now we have 2 packets on the top. See, one and the second one right here. At the same time, we gain a little bit bulk by doubling up that cardstock. So what we will do now is, this is This is 6 1/8, and this way it's 5. Okay. So now we're gonna cover the front, and we will cut our paper to 4 3/4. Now the height, I prefer to double check that cut incorrectly. We're gonna cut to 5 7/8. And we will cut 2 pieces, 5 7/8. That's gonna be for the front and the back. And we will need 1 piece, 1 piece at not 1/2 inch. We're gonna cut 3/8, 3/8 of an inch, because our spine is 1/2 inch. So now the height will need to be the same height as the front and the back, which is 5 7/8. And now we can cover our front, we can cover our back, and here's the spine. So I will start with the bigger piece first. Okay. And we should leave approximately 1/8 of an inch space all the way around the border. Let's make sure that this is stuck. So now the second big piece. Okay. And now the spine. I'm trying to position this straight, kind of right in between both pieces. Here's the spine. So now our cover is done. Let me make sure that this is stuck. Our cover is done. Now we need to work on the inside. So we know that both those pieces are the same. As I mentioned to you, we have plenty of paper left to cover those 2 pieces and the spine, but I'm choosing to use different color of paper. I will use this one. So the width is about 5 inches, and this piece is shorter. So I'm gonna measure only from that opening, which is 5 3/4 by 5. So I will cut this paper to 4 3/4 by 5 1/2, and we need 2 of them, 5 1/2. So let's make sure that they fit before we start gluing, and they do. So now we know that where we gonna place the notepad, we got straight cut. This one has that little notch. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put just some kind of paper underneath so I can see. I'm gonna lay my paper over the top the way I'm planning to glue this, and I am gonna make little marks on both sides, and this is my mark where I need to cut. Okay, so you see now when I actually I should cut out just a little bit more because I do want to see that black border, but now it's a little bit easier because I made the original cut. So let's just try it, and this is perfect for me. So this is how I'm gonna glue this piece. Okay. All right, I'm pretty happy with this. Just like that. And now the other side. Now this side, I'm paying attention to the outside border, but I'm paying attention also to this score because we don't want to cover this score. Just like that. And that's gonna be fine. A matter of fact, if you don't want to put the paper in here, you don't have to, because when we put our notebook or notepad, you won't be able to see this anyway. See, when we put the notepad, you would have just black border in here, which is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. So I am going to use this notepad. This is 4x6, purchased from Dollar Tree store. So now we have our cover. We have the inside. The only thing we are missing is covering this spine. So the spine is not, the way we cut it, it's not quite 1/2 inch. But to cover that spine, I will use some of the same paper as I used for that. I'm gonna make the height the same as this decorative paper, 5.5. Okay, now the width, it's gonna be only 1 inch. So I need to pre-cut this. Which end is the straight one? I think both are. I need to pre-cut this because this paper is not straight. So now I need to cut only 1 inch. Okay, we got 1 inch piece. And we will score this piece. So we will score at 3/4 of an inch, turn around and score at 3/4 of an inch. So we will fold this over just like that, and those two pieces on the sides, we will glue this. Now the reason why I'm doing this is, actually there are two reasons. The first one is I do want to give a little bit extra body into the spine, so the spine is a little bit thicker and it's not, I guess it's more stable, because that's where the pen is gonna be. That's how you close and open your notebook. But also we will place little pen holder, and I want to make sure that this piece, it will hold. So it's going to be a little bit more stable. This is the reason why I do that. So now we can glue this piece only to this flap. We don't want to glue it to the body. So I'm going to apply glue only onto this black piece that we originally cut for the spine. And this will make sense in a moment. So now, if I apply this piece just like that, you can see I can still open it, and that's what we want. We want that because, and this little piece, black piece, I will just trim it off. And we want this because our pencil holder is going to be actually wrapped around this. So for pencil holder, I have a little bit of this left from the outside. So I want everything on the inside match. So this is what I will use. And now we will score this piece. So this, the one that I have, it's 1 3/4, and that's fine for me. If you have 2 inches, that's perfectly all right. I will score at 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1 1/2, 2, and 2 1/2. So now we will fold all these pieces just like that, but the last score in here we will cut right on that score or a little bit less, because that's gonna be our little square for a pencil. I actually have a pencil that is going to match this. So you see, you got plenty of room in here for the pencil. So I will apply glue right here to the last flap, and I will glue this right behind it, just like that. Now I already measured to make sure that my pencil is going to fit nicely in here and it won't show on the top and the bottom, and that's what I suggest for you to do. Now I'm just going to square off all these corners, and you see this last flap, I will glue it right here on the top. So let me apply glue right here, and we're gonna glue this right on the top just like that. So I will put this down and I will squish it with my bone folder on both sides just like that, just to make sure everything is holding nicely. So now, since we are done with this piece, now we can apply glue on this piece and glue it actually to our spine. Now, when you glue this, you just make sure that it's positioned on the middle. Just like that. Let's squish it again to make sure that all that glue spreads in there and it gets stuck. And this glue dries clear, so when it dries you won't be able to see this. But I still want to wipe it off just a little bit. So this is done. This is done. We got our packet. And I have a little bit of this paper left. I have a little bit more left from the first original sheet, but I want to make a little packet on this side. And originally I thought of scoring both sides, but I think it might be just a little bit too bulky, and whatever you put inside the packet, it might just fall out. So I think we're gonna make it just a little bit tighter. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna cut this paper to size. So that's gonna be 5.5. And I want this packet to be approximately 2 inches. So 5.5 by 2. So let's cut 2 inches. And 5.5. Now, if we glue this just like that, this interferes with this little thumb notch. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna cut this. I'm gonna cut off this corner, just in here. I'm gonna let the paper to guide me a little bit. I'm gonna cut it right here. There's no right or wrong way to do that. And because I don't want this sharp corner, I am just gonna round it off, just like that. So this will be our little packet. So I will just apply glue. Okay, now it's good. So just a thin coat, it will hold. And we're gonna apply it right here. So you see we created 2 packets. Now you have a packet here and you have a packet here. Let this dry a little bit. And we also have a little packet in here which we will use for our notepad. So now this notepad is 4 inches wide. I do want to measure it, and it is actually exactly 4 inches. The height doesn't really matter, but you want to make sure that the paper that is going to cover the front, that you have enough for the front, the top, and a little bit on the back. How far back, it doesn't really matter. So I can see that my paper is just good enough this way. So I just need to cut the width to cover the width of the notebook. So the notebook is, at least the width of it is 4 inches. So I will cut 4 1/16. And the reason why I do that is because I want to make sure that I do cover all of it. I don't want to see any of this peeking from underneath. So So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna apply glue right here on the cover, and don't go too close to the outside border because you don't want to glue this notepad, the pages of it. So we apply the glue, and now we will position the paper and make sure that you position straight so you don't see any sides peeking out from underneath. You want to make sure that the entire front is covered. Just like that. Now we're gonna fold that. We're gonna fold this again. So now I'm gonna apply glue right here. Now we're gonna squish it. The top and the side. Let's make sure all of this adheres. Just like that. Now, I hope you enjoyed this project. If you do, please hit like button. I would appreciate if you would share, comment or subscribe. That really helps my channel grow, and I would really appreciate if you would do that for me. So now our notepad is done, and look how easy it is to put this notepad in, just like this. And I want to push it a little bit towards the outside because you want to make sure that you have enough room for that pen in there. See, everything fits beautifully. Very nice project. And if you choose to give it to somebody, you can include a little note. Just put it right here. You can put something else in here, maybe a little card. So those are all your options. I hope you enjoyed this project. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you soon in my next video.